Parenting is hard. It can also be rewarding, but getting through the grind to the good stuff can be a real struggle. And all of us could use some inspiration, encouragement, or just a reminder that we aren't alone on this journey. Sometimes even parents need a timeout.
Hi, welcome parents. Parents Time Out. I'm Kim Botto. I lead kids and students at Crossroads. I'm also the mom of 5 and the grandma of a bunch of other kids. And this is the time during the week where we gather with other parents and we share ideas, we ask questions, and we learn from each other because parenting is not meant to be done in isolation. So thanks for joining us. And tonight, our guest, I'm very excited for you to spend time with him. He approaches his work, his marriage, and guiding his family in a very thoughtful and intentional way. He's the dad of 3 kids, super cute kids, ages 6, 8, and 10. And he loves to make things with his hands. He has a woodworking shop that, it's his garage that we'll see him from tonight. And he also builds things for the weekend for Crossroads. He is over all the teams who create our weekend experiences and a bunch of experiences outside the weekend. He's my friend, and he's also my boss. So we're going to welcome Kyle Ranson to Parents Time Out. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks, Kim. That was a great intro.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Is that a critique?
No, it's really good. It was very kind.
And you are in your garage, right? That's your garage and your woodworking shop.
This is my workshop, which is now also my office every single day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is my dining room, which is also my office.
See you every day. Yeah.
That's great. Every day you see me here. So Kyle, we're really glad that you're here. And as people are hopping on, tell us where you're from. And if you have a question for Kyle, go ahead and put that in the comments. And while they're doing that, Kyle, as parents, sometimes we look at everybody else and they look like they're perfect and they have it all together. And because I'm your friend, I know that even though you often appear to have it all together, you don't every second of every day. So why don't you share with the parents maybe a parenting fail that you have had just to make you seem more real?
Okay. I mean, yeah. If you want to see how imperfect I am, look, ready? See all the crap everywhere? See all the weeds on my driveway?
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. Parenting fail. Well, I'll give you one from just about an hour and a half ago. It was playing with my kids, having our good after dinner time together, which is one of the rhythms I try to hit with them. And I saw those weeds I just showed you right out there, and I couldn't help it. And I thought, I really just want to pick those weeds. And so instead of playing with them, I decided I would just pick weeds. And I tried to get them to do it with me. And the 6-year-old pretty quickly was like, I'm not doing this, and went inside. And about 15 minutes later, I realized I had picked weeds that were about to grow right back, instead of hanging out with my 6-year-old daughter, and had to go inside and say, hey, I'm sorry. I said I'd play with you. And she was very gracious. Her name is Grace, so that helps. But
that's good. But you know what? Kids are never too young for us to start apologizing to them and asking for forgiveness, even before they understand it. But Grace is old enough. She does understand it.
She totally does. They understand it super early. Yes.
Yeah. So well done. Will she be in bed when this is over?
Oh, yeah. She's in bed right now. Early bedtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids at that age they didn't know it got dark. So I think that's good. So, okay. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. But Kyle, is there anything that you would like to tell us about yourself or your family?
I mean, I guess a little bit about me, just kind of background stuff. Is that what you want?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have been married for 14 years in September. Sarah she is the oldest of 2. I am a middle child. So sort of how we grew up. I am originally from outside Dayton, Ohio, a little town called Bellbrook. Then I moved to Philadelphia for a while, Atlanta, Georgia for a while, South Carolina for a while. And now I've been back in Cincinnati for, I think it'll be 15 years, or is 15 years like right now. So kind of moved all around. My family of origin, my parents are fantastic. My mom was one of the original volunteers for Kids Club way back in the day, which is sort of what got me connected into Crossroads. Live anywhere near Crossroads, but she was connected in. My dad is about as opposite of me as humanly possible. So my dad is a giant introvert who struggles to talk in front of people, and I professionally talk in front of people. So very different, which, for me kind of plays in the way that I even view parenting. I think one of the things that people get stuck in a lot, and I certainly can get stuck in, and I think it's even like a thing that Christians get stuck in, is that there's oftentimes lots of different ways to succeed, but we lock into like, this is the one way to do it. And I look at that and I go like, my dad is he's a fantastic dad. He is so different than me and did it so different than me. And I kind of feel like that's okay. We're wired different. So.
Yeah. Why do we do that? Why do we lock in on one way? And how do we choose the one way we lock in?
I think we do it because we really want to. I think that's a good motivation, right? Like everybody wants to be a good parent. I don't know any parents. No one's ever walked up to me and been like, "Hey, Kyle, I really want to suck at this. So what do I do?" Like no one wants to be bad at it. Everyone wants to be great at it. And so what we do is we lock into like, oh, well, that's what they do and they're a good parent, so I need to do exactly what they're doing. And I think that's where the pressure kind of builds up, and this idea of how to be good at it becomes this like overwhelming, impossible to do thing, versus getting underneath of the action they're taking to like, what's their motivation? What's their thought? How are they approaching it? And then if I apply that same question, what would I end up with? And that's where it can be completely different. I think about, again, like with my dad, he, as an introvert and not a words guy, didn't say much, but he demonstrated in he was a chemical engineer, methodical and planned and thought through, and think 7 steps ahead. And he would do things with me that were mapped out that way. It's how I got into the college major that I picked, because he was doing like Myers-Briggs test with me when I was like 13 years old. I think you should think about this. We'll go on these college business. We'll think about these things. That is not how I am at all. I will not be doing that. This is not how I'm wired, but I'm a words guy. So what I can do is like, I can still take care of my kids. That same motivation of intentionality that he was trying to apply to help me see who God made me to be, I can do that same thing without the chemical engineer brain and my creative brain, words kind of a way. So,
and it's a lot easier to do it the way that is more towards our bent than trying to make ourselves into somebody that we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Kim, I'll just talk until you interrupt me.
I want to ask you, because there's something I really want to ask you, because we talked about this the other day, and because I had been talking to a group of working moms, and then I was sharing with you after how just overwhelmed and stressed they were, and one of their biggest stressors was balancing work and family. And you said something that I was super surprised at. Do you remember what you said to me?
I think I do. If I hit the wrong mark, just tell me.
That's right.
I just said, I think that's a question that women in the workplace get and men don't. No one has ever asked me, Kyle, how do you balance being a dad and full-time work? As if and it just stands out to me. And I think there's particularly for working moms, there's this double pressure or this double standard that exists even in just questions that get asked like that. That create this imbalance of expectations on working moms in particular. And I don't know, if I had a magical wand, like I'd love to just wave it and go like, if we're going to ask that question, can we just ask it to everybody? dads and moms, so we're both thinking in the same kind of ballpark. I think that'd be healthy.
Yeah, and I think sometimes women, we put a burden on ourselves. But yeah, I would love it if everybody got asked that, because I think in a lot of ways, when we don't ask the dads that, we're minimizing their role in raising kids. You are very, very important. Kyle, you're a very important part of the Ranson family, and you do have to figure out how to balance your work life and your family life. So somebody should be asking you that.
Yeah, I think sometimes dads get a pass, just as a culture. That seems to be where we are right now. I don't know if that's the way it was 1,000 years ago. I don't know if that's the way it's going to be in 1,000 more years. But right now, it seems like we give dads a pass, and then the amount that we give them a pass by just gets added to the moms as far as pressure and intentionality, and that's not helpful.
It's not helpful. So we're talking about people being overwhelmed, and so many people are overwhelmed right now. They're overwhelmed with what are they going to do about school, because schools are changing based on changing information that they get. They're overwhelmed with childcare because they're working. What would you say to the parents who are watching, who are feeling overwhelmed right now?
I would say it makes sense. I mean, I understand. I totally understand. I think it's easy to feel that way. I think that all of the cues, both inside and outside the church, can make you feel like it's an impossible job and you can never do it. So that's the first thing. It makes total sense. I absolutely get it. The way out of it, I think, is it really starts with an attitude of humility. And I know, this idea of intentionality that we're talking about. For me, intentionality does not mean complexity. And very specifically, it doesn't mean that I try to do everything. It actually means simplicity. That's the only way I can be intentional, is to be simple. And to be simple means that I'm prioritizing, which means there are things I'm choosing not to do, and I'm gonna be okay with it. I think about, I feel all the time as a dad, I've talked about that in weekends, struggle with anger with my 10-year-old because he's exactly like me and I'm super frustrating. And tonight I was putting him to bed and I told him I was doing this, and he just encouraged me. He's like, "Dad, you're a perfect dad." And I thought, and I told him, I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not." And at 10 years old, you say that. I know by 13 you won't, and that's okay, But I think it's easy to put pressure on yourself to inadvertently expect perfection, and it's not possible. And if you're able to let that go, it can create a sense of freedom and peace. You just go like, I'm going to make it simple, and I'm not going to do everything.
Where are some ways have you and Sarah made it simple, and what things have you not done?
We don't do things that I think would shock a lot of people. As like, hey, you're a pastor. You probably do like family devotional every night, and you like teach your kids the Bible, and you pray for 7 hours a day, and you definitely do family dinners no, we don't. I remember when we had when Sarah was pregnant with Ben, in my head, I was like, I'm going to plan a family devotional every night. I'm a teacher, I'm a writer. I'm going to this will be easy. No, it's so hard. Can't do it. Not going to do it. It doesn't happen. Too hard. What we do that's very simple that we can hit is every night before bed, we pray together. Unless mom and dad are super stressed, and then they just go straight to bed. But, and again, just grace. So we do a simple little prayer. It takes 3.5 minutes, but the kids love it, and they expect it, and they know it, and they know that our family believes and trusts in Jesus. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Family dinners, we've talked about this before. We don't do family dinners. Sarah and I do not like the same food as our kids. We think Kraft mac and cheese was awesome back in the 80s and 90s when we ate it as kids, and we'd rather not eat it anymore. We already did that, Chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs, not a good dinner. So we'll we don't try to hit that mark. We make them, to be clear, we feed our children. We do feed them food.
Yes, they're well nourished. We can tell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes we'll even sit with them as they eat their food, but then we'll make an adult dinner later. We'll put them to bed and we'll eat. And that's a simple rhythm for Sarah and I to connect. It's just that simple little pressure of like family dinner. Nope, not our thing. But I know like for other people, that's a great mark to hit. Awesome.
I wish more parents would communicate that though, because we're measuring ourselves against images that aren't real and aren't true. I think the family devotions, I've been in children's ministry for 100 years. And when my kids were little, I bought all these books, the family devotion books, and planned them out. Guess how many we did? One. It sucked. It wasn't good. The kids, they weren't listening. I'm like, I can actually just talk to them about things when we're driving in the car. And I don't have to get them all in a little circle at the end of the night. So yeah, that's good. Hey, we have a question from Abby. Advice and suggestions for balancing work, kids, and time with your spouse when you're both working full time.
Yeah, that's a great question, Abby. The way that I do it, I am not a multitasker. I'm terrible at it. I can do one thing at once. And so the idea, I think where a lot of people fall into trouble is they try to blend them together and do multiple things at once. I just, again, super simple. I just keep it super, super simple. It's either work time, kid time, or spouse time. It is never multiple of those things. So at work, I have a fairly decently large job in terms of expectations and priorities and people and departments and all that kind of stuff. I don't work all the time. I do my very best job every single day. And then I stop and I don't look at email at night and I don't look at text messages unless my phone just keeps on buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, I just try to be with whoever I'm with. And so that's one is if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. And then move on to the next thing. With my kids, the way that my day typically works out in rhythm is I will wake up first thing. I'll have my time that's just me and God. Usually a child will walk in at the end of that. At the moment they're there, now it's me and that kid. And however I got with God, God bless you, God, be with me the whole day. This child's now in front of me and I can't do both. So the child's here. I'm going to talk to the kid. Then Sarah will come down. We'll have coffee together. It's just me and her, and we send the kids away. Kids come out and ask questions. We're like, later, bye-bye. Mommy and daddy are talking. This is our time. Then the workday starts. Now there's no commute. And at work, I'm at work. I don't do both things. So kid comes out. I'm not rude to them, but I just can't help you right now.
You're at work. Yeah.
And then when work stops, I'm the kids again. And I'm the kids until bedtime. And then at bedtime, I'm Sarah's until the night ends. And so it's just like those simple little chunks.
And I think people that are listening, especially knowing what you do, I mean, you're also a teaching pastor at Crossroads. You have how many people on your team? A whole bunch.
Maybe 100 or so.
Yeah, a lot of people that are reporting to you. And I know that when you turn off, you really do turn off. I mean, you're accessible if I need you, and I know for me, I have learned a lot because I'm like, you do have a very important and big role. And I wonder if you aren't better at your role because you do turn off.
I mean, I think all science and studies back that up, right?
That's true. That's right. Yeah. I think it is true. But then we start thinking that we're too important to turn it off and everything's going to fall apart if we don't answer that silly email at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And that's just not true.
Well, there's something there that I think that's important, which is it's at the end of the day, what are you banking your success on? Is your success as a parent or a spouse or a worker or whatever, is it going to be on your effort? Is that Is that the foundation of your success? Because I would look at it and I would go, I don't think that's what Jesus says. Come to me, all you who are heavy laden, I will give you rest, right? There's this image consistently in scripture of you count on him, and that you recognize in this humility way, I am never going to be enough as a dad. I'm never going to be enough as a husband. I'm never going to be enough as an employee wherever I work. And that's okay, because I have a God who loves me, and he's the foundation of my success, and he will give me grace every day.
Right.
And that's what'll give me. So
that's right. And we need to say that to ourselves every day. And we need to be a community with people that remind us, or have bosses like you who say, get off your freaking email and just go away, and nothing's going to fall apart. So we have a question from Jenny. Struggling with my son being upset with not being able to go to church. Suggestions on helping him with weekend worship and keeping him involved since there's no kids club.
It's a great question. I'll give a quick one. I'd love to hear what you say, Kim. I mean, it's one of the, it's why I understand, like as a human being, parents included, just 2020 is overwhelming, because all of the normal patterns and habits and stuff is just out the window completely. And I think kids club is one of those. My kids love kids club. I'll be totally honest and say half the time when we would go to church, we live out on the east side of Cincinnati, go to Crossroads East Side, shout out to Crossroads East Side. We would go because we knew if we didn't, our kids would be mad at us. And I was like, well, we don't want to deal with that. So let's just put them in the car and go. And honestly, I would say, like, we haven't found a good substitute for kids club. We'll watch kids club videos online. They definitely love that. We'll still remind them of kids club, but it's just different. And that's where I go, like, if I kind of go up from what was kids club doing? Well, kids club was the regular mark. I mean, we've talked about this before. Kids club for me as a parent was a layup. It was a so easy layup. I could make sure that my kid heard about Jesus in a language they understood and loved Jesus in the church. Could take the layup every single week. And I go back to that level and go like, okay, so what's a different layup that you could take that gives your kids that? And again, that could be something as simple as your kids probably like to watch videos. Well, Kids Club YouTube channel is amazing. Hand them the phone and let them go nuts, you know?
Yeah, for one, I am so thankful that we're hearing this over and over from parents that their kids miss Kids Club. And what that is that speaks to the volunteers who serve in Kids Club. And you are right. There's amazing content that the kids can get from Kids Club at home is great. Got an older and younger version that you can watch. But the essence of Kids Club is the relationships that kids have with other leaders and their peers. And that's very hard to do without their leaders and peers. So Jenny, talking about your son being upset about not being able to go. I don't know what site you go to. No, you didn't mention what site you go to. You can talk to the Kids Club director there and start a little pen pal with your son's volunteer and your son. We have some volunteers who are FaceTiming, through the parent's phone, of course, with the kids. Do that. If you do know the names of the volunteers that he really likes, create some little gift baskets for them and take it to them. Or if you have kids that are in his class, the Kids Club directors will help you get in contact with other kids from the class and build those, continue to build those relationships, even though we're not physically present. And then what we're trying to do in Kids Club is we're creating a fun, safe, and welcoming environment for kids to experience God and grow in their faith. So the fun and welcoming environment, that's your living room or your bedroom right now. And what you can do is just talk to them about Jesus. Be thankful. Do some thankful exercises when you're driving around. Talk about the different things that you're thankful for. Talk about how God showed up in your life. Pray for things and write them down. And then when God answers those prayers, you can go back and go, oh my gosh, remember we prayed about this 2 months ago. Because what we want to do in Kids Club is help them know who Jesus is and grow in their faith. And parents, you are actually better qualified than us to do that, because your kids know, respect, and love you. And words from you have much bigger impact than, as much as they love their volunteers in Kids Club, you have huge, just a huge influence, unlike any other volunteer. So yeah, can't wait to see. And if your kids are missing Kids Club, go ahead and tell us what your kid is doing. But just because we're not in the building doesn't mean we can't be in relationship with the people that we love from Kids Club. Reach out, I've gone through 3 helium tanks since the pandemic started, because I've been blowing up helium balloons and attaching notes or M&Ms and taking them to people that I love. And even people my age, it makes them smile when they come out of their door in the morning and there's helium balloons on their front porch with chocolate attached. So take pictures of it. Tell us what you're doing, because you could be inspiring other people. And that's what Kids Club's all about too. So yeah. So there you go. That got me a little pumped up. But yeah, Jenny, can't wait to see what you do on that. Kyle, you wrote an article a while ago about dating your spouse. And you actually wrote that before the pandemic, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because I've heard people have being married during the pandemic is hard.
Oh,
don't you think?
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. So I think that trying to date your spouse, because it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
What are some ideas to date your spouse, especially during this time?
For me, it's the same general philosophy as parenting, which is you can get tripped up on it. And what I try to do in that article is just make it simple. You can get tripped up on what other people do or what you see on TV or what you think it means. And I think inadvertently what we do is we know 10 people and we assemble the best of those 10 people and go like, this is what it would mean to date your spouse, And in that article I just shared, this is pre-pandemic. It's like, look, where we are in life, we can't get out of our house that often. It's just not practical to get babysitters. We can't afford to pay people to watch our children all the time. We can't afford to go out to eat all the time. We don't have the time. And somewhere for us a couple of years ago, we just went like, fine, we don't have to go out to go on a date. What matters is intentional time together that happens predictably every single week. Like that's, if it's got to be automated or it doesn't happen. So for us, it is still through the entire pandemic, it is Friday night. We don't do anything with friends on Friday nights. It is Friday date night. We sure as heck don't have family dinner on Friday nights. We feed the kids whatever, and we put them in bed as early as possible. We will change the clocks so they think it's late. I mean, like whatever it takes, get them out. And then we will cook something that sounds better to the two of us. So usually Sarah grew up in Omaha. She worked at Omaha Steaks in high school.
Oh, nice.
She loves steaks, part of why I married her. So we'll throw some cheap frozen steaks on the grill and eat steak and talk to each other and hang out. And that's our Friday night. Like we'll look for a movie in, and it turns out during the pandemic, like for us, we didn't skip a beat. We're already home. We're already doing the same thing. So, and it's been so fruitful. And I after I wrote that, I had some people who were like, are you saying it's bad to get out? Like, are you squashing ambition? It's like, well, I really don't intend to. If you, again, this is where I go, like, it's what works for you. If you're in a place of life, you can get out and that works for you, man, just do that. Please don't stay at home to date your spouse. But if you feel stuck because you can't leave your house, great news. You don't have to. So
that's right. Mark and I used to do Friday lunch because I worked Sunday through Thursday. So he would just take, a long lunch on Friday. I was off on Friday. And so that was our time to hang out together. And yeah, do what works for you. Kyle, let's see. Your wife, she has great advice. Sarah, who is married to Kyle. Hi, Sarah.
What did you say?
She says, our kids have really loved joining quiet morning time with their storybook Bible. We don't really talk at all, but they enjoy looking or reading through the stories of their Bible as we read ours. Also, the storybook Bible's on Audible. Nice. Jesus Storybook Bible. I usually have one sitting here. That if you don't have that, parents, get that. It's great for all ages of kids.
Yes.
And
and the Audible version of it is fantastic. Sarah, I invited you to come on this with me. She's like, not gonna do that. So I'm so glad that she was in the comments. She's amazing. She is like, if you ever listen to a message that I give and you think, wow, that made sense, that was Sarah Ranson who made sense. That's her.
Well, next time, Sarah, you're coming on with Kyle, you can go sit in the garage with him. We'll send somebody over to sit in the house with the kids.
She's currently deleting her Facebook account because she's like, I'm out. This is gone.
That's right.
What she said right before I came on, she's like, it's just, the word is just simple. Like, just simple. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it complex. Keep it simple. So that's totally it for us. Here's a storybook Bible. You can look at this. Great.
I would say from all these episodes that we've done and just talking to different people, every single time we do this, sometime through the night, somebody will say, you just got to make it simple. It's not that complicated. Just do it. Just ask. So, but Kyle, our time's up. So as we end, I would love, is there any closing remarks or thoughts you have for those that are watching?
My closing thought would be, and this is again where I go back to my dad. There are a million different ways to be a great parent. My dad is not a man of many words. And so this is what I do. It's not what he did. So please don't hear this as, to be a good dad or be a good mom, you've got to do exactly this. No, not at all. This is just a thing I do because I think it's what God's called me to as a dad. He's given me this thought of the least important time I ever named my children was when I wrote something on their birth certificate. When I wrote down Benjamin Joseph Ranson and Elijah Daniel Ranson. That was the least important name I've ever given them, ever will give them. The much more important names I give them are the ones that I give them every single day in terms of how I respond to them. There was a night the other night where Benjamin spilled something on the floor and I got upset at him because, like any 10-year-old, he did not immediately go get paper towels and clean it up. If you can possibly believe that. He just let it sit there. And I was like, Ben, what are you doing? You're going to ruin the floor. Whatever the floor. He just got so sad. And I was able to calm down. I was like, hey, tell me what's going on, bud? Like, why are you so sad? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And he said, I feel like you care more about the floor than me. And in that moment I went, oh, shoot. I've just named him less valuable than a floor. And so I intentionally grabbed, buddy, you are so much more important than the floor. I do not care about the floor. I care about you. And I want to make sure that I'm constantly giving him names. I know he's going to pick them up throughout the world as he walks around, as he meets people. He's going to think that he's too weak. He's going to think he's too small. He's going to think he's not smart enough. He's going to think he's not handsome enough, whatever. There's all those things that these names that are going to pile on him. And I want to make sure that I name him well. So the one mark, the only mark I make sure I hit every single day with my kids, no matter what, is after bedtime. They are in their rooms and I walk upstairs and I go to each of them and I grab them and I say the same thing every night to them. And in my head, I'm just naming them. I say, you are good and smart and funny and creative and a leader, and I love you and I'm proud of you and I'm for you and I'm always on your side. And I say goodnight and I walk out. And I know at the end of the day, if I screwed everything else up, some days I have, at the end of the day, I know I've told them who they are. And that's what matters. Brian, if you were at the Worship at the Cove thing this weekend, he said, God doesn't tell us what to do. He tells us who we are. And I think at the end of the day, as parents, that's the legacy we live with our kids when they leave our house, is not what to do in life, but much more importantly, who they are. That's what's going to matter going forward. At least I think it will. I don't know. My kids are still super young. Yours are all amazing, Kim. So
oh, it absolutely will, because I think as parents, what we do so many times is we remind them what they did, often the mess ups they did, but they need to be reminded who they are over and over again. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, well, my kid knows I love them. I'm going, do they? Tell them over and over and over and over again, because they don't always know. So
That's right.
Kyle, it is always fun spending time with you. Sarah says she's going to come on next time, so we can't wait to have her on. And we'll be back. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8:30. That'll be our 15th episode. So we're going to do a best of. And if you have some things, like if there are things that really stood out to you that you have really held on to, different things that people have said or ways that you've been challenged, like put them in the comments, because we would like to know what those are. So we'll see you next week at 8:30. And Kyle, I'll see you sometime on Zoom tomorrow.
Yeah, we will. Thanks for having me on. It was really fun.
That's right. Good night.